Yo, what's good, what's good, what's good? I was just waiting for you to come in, man. That's all I was doing was waiting for you to come in, bro. I'm trying to save some pictures from our Facebook page. I'm trying to put together like a movie short reel or compilation of the things that we've done over the years with Black Scranton. There are so many photos, man. So many photos. Jeez, I'm gonna have to come back and look at these later. Alright, yeah, I'm gonna have to look at some of these later. So, like I said, this is what I've been doing. Not this, but where my pencil go? I might even try to. I might even try to make some original music for this. So far it's 3 minutes and 55 seconds long. This thing probably winds up being several, maybe like I don't know, maybe 10 minutes, 8 minutes or something. I don't know. But what we want to do is have this play on like a continuous loop at our Black Excellence Gala. So when you come into the space, we'll have like a giant TV screen, and this is what we'll be playing like just on a loop. So I want it long enough so that you don't feel like you're seeing the same few pictures over and over. But I don't want it so long where people won't want to stand. But even 10 minutes, people might not stand for 10 minutes. They'll probably walk off and come back. But we just do like so much big shit, yo. And I want to try to make each frame like 4 seconds so that it's not moving too fast. I was going to do 6 seconds, but it seemed too long. So I think 4 seconds. 4 seconds of frame should be alright. I really like this so far. But then, of course, after I finish putting it together and everything, I'll submit it to the board for their approval. I can always guarantee it's going to need some edits where we want to add more stuff or take some stuff out. But I think it's coming along nicely. Like I said, it's going to be several minutes long. We have so much footage from over the past few years. So I say I may edit out like some pictures like that, like single people, and do more like group stuff where it just shows like how big of a crowd we pull for our events. Maybe not have like as many news clippings in there. I could probably take some of those out. Wow, that 4 minutes seemed pretty long already. Like I said, if there's music playing with it though, it probably won't seem as long. So we'll see. But that's a project that I'm working on. I just got to get more pictures from off our website, from off our social media sites. Wow, one of my artists I follow is doing a live IG today. I might have to try to check that out. Yo, yo. It's good, my G. Yo. Damn, this chair be giving me so much fucking trouble, bro. Just trying to raise the seat up. Like it didn't want to raise the seat. Just realized I left a couple of spots on this white background without a second coat of paint. When I did this the last time, I really thought I hit everything, but then I looked at it close and it's like, nope. Still got some grayed out areas that definitely need. I don't know why I didn't finish this part off. Like, must have got distracted. Still on the clock. I feel you on that. Well, I be getting off so early at work, but I don't even know what to do other than come home and paint. Damn, did I not do any of this part right here? Oh my god, I'm tripping. I could have swore all this was done. I guess not. A little bit here. Alright. And once again, I feel like I just come back to this shit. I really want to paint a different part right now. I don't want to do the boring parts. Once again, this is where an apprentice would come in. About to get that Heine. Let me sip on some of that Heine.
Is this right? Am I doing this? It's been so long since I went live. Peace, everybody. It's Brandon B. Mike going live to have a really cool conversation that's inspired by a very cool individual. I get to have a conversation with one of my favorite visual artists that I'm super excited about. But this is a part of audio, the Book of Baraka digital talk series. I'm grateful to be invited to have this conversation, to really think about and imagine the influence and the power of art and how it's informed my work as well as this conversation with one of my favorite artists, Mr. Hank Willis Thomas. Peace, sir. How you doing? Hey, man. How you doing? I can't complain. It's Mardi Gras time in New Orleans, so, oh, did I lose you? Oh, I think I just lost nothing. Okay, let's try this again. Are we here? Hey, lost you for a second. How you doing, sir? Yeah, it's good. My phone's acting up, so I still can't really see it, but I'm good overall. We can see you. Yeah, I feel like, remember the old days when everyone had like the old flash cameras, so you would get the flash and turn on? So I feel right now. Maybe I just realized my headset. I had these headsets in, and I just realized they're not even on. So I guess we both have it. Okay. Maybe I should quit and come. I'm gonna try one more time.
They both having fucking bad service issues or some kind of technical difficulties. Damn, I wanted to listen to this shit too, but oh well. I don't want to listen to you buffer. Alright, you know I hate the fucking lines, bro. I'm trying to get the lines straight, a little something. See if we can kind of make these look like straight lines at least. Even if they not straight, they can kind of look straight. Alright, I'm about to turn on some beats. Turn on some beats. Beats. Turn on some beats. can't really pump it loud like I want to, but yeah, I love that one. I love that one. That's called something. So I started two more. This one right here, I'm calling it Uptown. I don't really know what else to do with it right now, but I like how it's sounding so far. I don't know it might be done, it might not be done. I picked up some more music packs that got like vocals and stuff in it. So we'll see. break.
Getting on the phone today. I'm impressed. Because we still learning. Like, they're literally still teaching us processes. And then want us to go on the phone the same day. I'm like, how we gonna go on the same day that we learned it? Like, I don't even know it yet. I've done it once. They show us how to do everything one time. So, yeah, when I get off, that's why I asked you about dinner. I just need to take an hour and just run through the practice system just by myself. Because it's hard learning when you're in a class with 10 other people and you're sitting there trying to do stuff and they're like, wait, what'd you say? Like, and I completely lose my train of thought. That's what I can say. Everybody they hired, well, I ain't gonna say they ain't slow, but you gotta be a little bit intellectual to work in their job. Like, you can't be stupid to work there. You gotta be able to keep up. And like I said, it's an old school computer system. It's not like click, click, click. Everything is through the keyboard. I'd be happy when they update that shit.
Like I said, I don't know what else to do to that shit. Really just don't sound finished, but I'll work on it. Figure something out with that shit, yeah. Not really sure. And then I put this one together called Easy Money. This isn't done either. Still working on this one. Once again, just trying to figure out what sounds the best in this shit, yeah. She made me the leader of my group, so I gotta go back and call that and be the rest of them. It's getting real now. It's not to be on the floor, but it's enough to make extra money. So the package is let me do it. And it's crazy because I'm already hiring again. I already referred somebody to apply. What do you think about that one, bro?
They're identical. But why do yours look so much bigger? Why am I these too small and yours too big? Yeah, they're identical. Okay, but the bottoms are different though. And it's different.
Like those are still like bare bones. And then there was one more.
Ooh, there's something on my shoe.
This shit called Shots.
There's something on my shoe already. They're like different a little bit. If you can put some
Clock has started.
they almost like this mostly short hair and yours. I don't think they're long. Mine like got a bunch of little things that yours don't. But they're I like it. It's like a Puma Air Force. Linktree?
What?
Linktree?
No. It's just like LinkedIn, only better.
No. So I was like, I need something where I can have all of my links on one. And you set up a link tree and you can link everything. And then that way you can just have one link, and then when people click that link, then they can decide if they want to go to your YouTube, if they want to go to your SoundCloud, what they want to go to.
That's called Google.
I mean, Linktree just makes it easy. And I've seen people use it before, and I never realized what it was. And then I saw it today and was like, let me do this. So I'm still playing with it. But no, it's cool.
Damn. Guess.
Even for you, you could be like, look, this is my Etsy. This is my TV show. This is my live stream. This is my Facebook. This is my, like, you got hella shit. I'm going to post them.
You're fucking this up.
What?
Yep. Yeah, fuck that up a little bit. I can come back and straighten it out with the next line, I hope. Hope I can straighten it out with the next line. Damn. I might have to go grab me a snack. I ain't even lying, man. All right. My stomach is growling, yo. So I got some blue cheese and celery as a snack before dinner. Mmm. Delicious. So good. Such a simple snack, but so delicious. Oh, you definitely did, yeah. Because the celery is going bad, man. I gotta hurry up and eat the celery up, man. There's like 2 pieces in there left, but it was in there since last week, and I was thinking about a snack the other day, and I'm like, yo, if I don't eat this fucking celery, it's gonna go bad. I hate throwing produce away. So like, when that was, I think it was yesterday, maybe. Yeah, yesterday I had it for a snack when I was gaming. So I almost grabbed some pistachios just now, because that's like my other like ultimate go-to snack is pistachios. I was like, damn, I reached for the pistachios. I was like, oh, all that fucking celery is still in there. Hurry to eat this shit up because it's getting kind of like flimsy. It still looks good, but like it ain't gonna last too much longer, man. That's all it is, bro. Crunchy water. That shit like warm ice. You know, with water. So just like lettuce. That shit like 90% water. Yo, I seen some motherfuckers boil lettuce and drink the water. And they say that shit make you sleepy.
There's some changes coming up at CNN. Now, here's what's interesting: is not only that Brian Stelter is afraid of being fired, but good reason he's afraid of being fired. So, you know what you would think? Bad reporting, not doing your job well,
being unappealing in the face.
Yeah, you know what? Let's go. See, you can zig so that I can zag. You just gave away. You don't give away the thing. Yeah, the twist.
Oh, nobody saw that twist coming.
Yeah, thanks. They call it it's Gerald M. Knight. So
fired for being too handsome.
Yeah, that's the twist.
Well,
Brian Stelter at the end of it, he finds out I was the gay ghost all along.
Oh no! You're too much of a man's man. We need somebody lighter for the ladies.
You know, we've had too many comparisons. We've done our focus groups with Frank Luntz, and they see you and they just see Charles Bronson. We don't know.
You're much of a Clint Eastwood type.
Yes, that's what they say.
We need more of a fruity grimace.
Yes, exactly. We need more of a Dom DeLuise type. Do you know anyone, Mr. Stelter, who would be a dead ringer for Dom DeLuise?
But more suspect.
Yes. So, Chris Lick is announced as the new head of CNN. Okay, here's the thing. It was leaked. It clearly seems to be a deliberate leak because it's accurate.
Yeah.
And Brian Stelter didn't know about it. So they didn't let him know the name of his show is Reliable Sources. Here you go.
And now we know who Zaslav is selected to run CNN once it happens. Chris Licht will be the head of news for the newly combined company, according to 3 sources who spoke with me on Saturday. Now, the appointment has not been officially announced yet, but it will be made official in the coming days. The website Puff broke the news.
We now know. Yes, we've known.
Yes, thank you.
I was spoken to on Saturday.
Yeah.
Going to brunch. My meal with my children.
Here at Reliables, if you're not even breaking anything, what is it you would say you do here? So
called Reliable Sources, unlike your show.
Right.
Okay.
So to give you a couple of things here that are important. So Chris Licht is going to be the head of CNN. Okay. He also, Discovery's purchased CNN, I believe, and he wants to bring CNN's credibility back. So that's his main concern. He wants to get rid of what seems to be partisan hackery, which is interesting because he was actually the creator of, or one of the creators of Morning Joe. And then he is currently, I believe, the showrunner or one of the top producers for The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. So look, you know where he lines up. Okay? You know where this Chris Licht lines up.
Yeah.
So what he's saying when he says we want to retrieve from the abyss the credibility of CNN, what he really means is they want to go back to lying to you by omission. A lot of people are now saying, oh, CNN got really bad. No, they didn't get really bad. You just weren't aware of it. Sometimes you'll hear people like Joe Rogan say this, or you'll hear people who are sort of newly conservative, right, red-pilled, and they go, I used to really, CNN used to be reliable. They were never reliable. You just weren't paying attention. Always been this bad. Anderson Cooper has always been this bad, just to be clear. Don Lemon has been there for years and years. This is not a new development. So this guy clearly he wants to go back to the period of bias by omission. And CNN really has gotten to be more opinion journalism. So that's the important point to note on that front. Now, here's something else that's funny. Brian Stelter is now afraid of being fired. Now, it's not that that's hilarious, but
It is.
yeah, it is. It's the subtext. This is reported by Red State, and I can't confirm the authenticity, but I'm pretty sure. So it says Brian Stelter, who spent most of his last half-decade trying to cost several people their jobs, has told people that he thinks he's going to lose his job at CNN. So what does that tell you? Okay, you have a new incoming head of CNN, all right, who wants to at least keep up the appearance of objective journalism. That means there was a meeting. Look, there are going to be some changes here at CNN. We want to, really get back to delivering real, accurate news. Oh my God, I'm fired!
I'll lose everything.
Oh my God!
Morning Joe's coming back?
What?
What if I do a show called Afternoon Jab?
Yes. No? Mid-evening poke?
How about
Dinner stab?
nighttime insertion?
Yes. No? Perhaps some early morning prodding?
No, just grab my things.
Yeah.
Just a pair of Crocs. Jazzy
And a purse.
Crocs.
And a cape that he's been trying to make work.
Yeah.
I just don't know what. Does this work? No, it doesn't. I'll take it with me then.
Doesn't.
That belongs to wardrobe. No, foiled again. Now,
Speaking of, they're putting him up right now.
oh my
Brian
gosh!
Stelter, they're
Don't put on the side profile. Let's see what Brian Stelter is saying right now live. Let's see if it's not just complete partisanacry.
Networks. But access to the internet is an alternative that provides access to, frankly, the truth, the ground truth of what's going on. At the same time, we are seeing some Russian websites being hacked. There are multiple reports of Russian media websites being hacked with anti-Putin messages posted on them in the past few
His
hours.
profile looks like he should be wearing shower shoes before an execution, doesn't he? He's just a creep.
Those kinds of hacks also signs that Putin's losing this information war. On one level, that's true. On another level, look at the headline of the
Really
LA Times
nervous,
said about this
talking
morning.
fast.
Zelensky is winning the PR battle. Ukraine winning the PR battle. That may be less important.
Breaking
That is
news.
less important than the physical warfare on the ground, but it is critical around the world.
You know, here's the thing. I really hate the anti-Americanism that you see across the globe, especially having visited Europe.
Yeah.
But every now and then you just see an American, like, well, yeah, okay, they've got a point.
Yeah, they're seeing him in the airport when they land.
Imagine-
I'd be pissed too.
Imagine the country that invented the guillotine looking at that. Like,
Yeah.
there's no way to make it fit.
I
Why
don't
would
know.
you do that? I don't have a guillotine for whatever big, what you call it, McDonald's fat purple clown.
There is 9 weeks lead time for custom stocks.
I don't know what it is. I don't care.
I need a 10 head basket, please.
Yes.
Why does the man witch from Dune have to be beheaded?
Can't kill him. He tried.
He just rises up with a fire.
on the ceiling, and you're like, ah!
But it just shows, look, how he views himself, Brian Stelter. And it's not even true that they're going to have objective journalism at CNN, but the moment Brian Stelter believed that they were going to attempt objective jouralism, he was like, oh, I'll lose everything.
He was out. He's like, yes, I'll do the morning show. Bring me on.
And it's one thing to be, look, and I don't,
Yeah.
I mean, this guy has made his living trying to get people fired.
Right.
But
Yeah.
I don't, it's one thing for somebody to be fired. It's another thing to be Brian Stelter and be fired from broadcast television. Who else on God's green earth is going to put this man back on TV? And a lot of people don't know, like, he basically rose to fame because he was sort of like a Perez Hilton for a political blog website.
Goddamn. Goddamn.
So then he got a job at like the New York Times, and
Turn it,
I believe it was New York Times, going by rote here, and it was because they were surprised that he was a college student writing this. But here's the thing, so he sort of, he was
Were
backdoored
they
in.
surprised by his appearance that
Yeah,
he was a
well,
college student?
yes.
Or is it
Wow,
on
he
his
was
writing?
40.
Yeah, they only figured out after he had a 2-year contract, and they were at 1.5 years. Like, what?
You're like, you're 22?
22?
I thought you were about to die.
The only reason we filed the extension. So
Got an insurance policy on you.
it was a soft expectations of him being young.
Yeah.
And then he got on CNN, and now they say, okay, but now you're a 36-year-old, completely super straight broadcaster with the lowest ratings. You are entirely useless to us.
Yeah.
He is proven to be a failed commodity. That's got to be a really scary thought for Brian Stelter. And frankly, I don't want him gone.
No, I was just about to bring up that point. Like, he is perfectly positioned there because if they're trying to go back and rehab their image, which sucks in the first place, Brian Stelter being front and center.
It's like Saddam Hussein. You don't want to create that power vacuum.
I think it's a perfect
come on.
position for him as all fours, but
Yeah.
Well, that's what he says.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
Well, where's he gonna? He got there though because he basically got everyone fired. Look at him.
Yes.
I mean, it's just karma. You can't just
Yeah.
keep cutting through everything until you're to the top. They're eventually going to get rid of you.
And then he even threw people under the bus who were fired at his network.
Yes.
Like Chris
Well,
Cuomo
Chris
was
Cuomo.
angling for his spot.
That day he was like, he's a rapist. Yeah, you heard it here first.
Yeah.
Yes, he's a rapist, and boy, I don't know who's going to fill that 9 o'clock slot.
Oh boy.
They're like, no, it's not going to happen. Well, it was
Yeah.
worth a shot. I'll take my cake.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Cuomo hadn't even packed his things when he's in there measuring for drapes.
Yeah, Cuomo's seat leaves, and he just hovers and boom.
Yeah.
Uncle Ant.
Anyway, you guys let us. I don't want Stelter to go away. Best thing you can do for the YouTube
No,
algorithm is
I
comment.
have-
I actually want him to stick around. I really, really do.
I know.
We should just hire him.
Save Brian Stelter. Let's start
Oh, okay.
a GoFundMe.
Might be the funniest gag of all time if we just pay him a lot of money to be his
Just-
third chair,
And we just
and you just don't let him speak. You just duct tape his mouth.
he has to say only extremist things.
Yes.
that are extraordinarily offensive, and we're like, Brian Stelter, that's
Wow.
Why would you say that?
I can't believe. I mean, I knew.
We have Jews who work here.
I mean, come on. And then I'll be like, we don't.
Watch Louder with Crowder live, Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern.
The President's Day sale at Raymore and Flanagan is extended. Hurry in. You'll find solutions to help you tackle.
Bill Gates is worried about misinformation. Meanwhile, the CDC are not publishing accurate figures around coronavirus. So which misinformation should we be worried about? Hello there, you 5 million awakening wonders. I know there are challenges in this world, but together we can overcome and triumph by being open and willing and honest together. If you want to come and see me live, you can. I'm performing all over the UK. I'm in Newcastle, Nottingham, Sheffield, Scarborough, Stockton-on-Tees, Bristol, Plymouth. There's a link in the description to tickets. Come see me live. I'm hoarse with the craziness of it. Have a look at my Instagram page. There's loads of photos of me meeting people. It's absolute beautiful mayhem, and you can rely on that information. It's not misinformation, because today we're talking about misinformation. Bill Gates is really, really worried about it, and yet the CDC has admitted that there has been a lack of transparency around the publication of coronavirus-related data. Let's get into it. For more than a year, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention has collected data on hospitalizations for COVID-19 in the United States and broken it down by age, race, and vaccination status. But it has not made most of the information public. When the CDC published the first significant data on the effectiveness of boosters in adults younger than 65 2 weeks ago, it left out the numbers for a huge portion of that population. 18 to 49-year-olds, the group the data showed was least likely to benefit from extra shots because the first 2 doses already left them well protected. 2 full years into the pandemic, the agency leading the country's response to the public health emergency has published only a tiny fraction of the data it's collected, several people familiar with the data said. Now, as yet, we've not gotten into the type of data that was included and the type of data that was omitted, but what you know is already happening. There's a huge conversation around this subject where some people feel there's a lack of transparency, where the conversation is opaque and veiled. So the revelation that the agency responsible for publishing data has not been publishing all of the data, does that make that argument less relevant or less valid, or does it make it more valid? You know, if you think of the environment we're living in, where there are some people being condemned, people being denied access to public amenities, none of which I have an opinion on because they are all being implemented by governments that are democratically elected, but it's certainly what you want to think is that there is transparency, that you're not on some level being manipulated or lied to, because then their mandate is less valid. Detailed, timely data on hospitalisations by age and race would help health officials identify and help the populations at highest risk. Information on hospitalisations and death by age and vaccination status would have helped inform whether healthy adults needed booster shots. Because what you want to make is informed decisions consensually in relationship with the agencies and authorities that are in charge of your country. Otherwise, what it seems like is they have an agenda. Well, then that's not transparency, is it? Kristen Nordland, a spokeswoman for the CDC, said the agency had been slow to release the different streams of data because basically, at the end of the day, it's not yet ready for prime time. What does that mean, it's not ready for prime time? It's not Grey's Anatomy. It's information. Either it's true or it's not. Uh-oh, I don't like that information. Let's get a bit more lipstick on that information. Let's get those guys a push-up bra. Another reason is fear that the information might be misinterpreted, Ms. Nordland said. Misinterpreted? Do what we like with bloody information. Allow us to interpret it. This is, again, an example of government overreach. They don't give you information that might lead you to certain conclusions. You can see that the way that language is changing, even the word misinformation itself, a word that just, you know, you'll see a graph of it soon, say, oh, misinformation, no one used to say it. Now, boom, everyone's saying it the whole time, and they get to determine what it is, and we did a video where we showed how misinformation and terror are being conflated, and now the ability to interpret information, where you see contextual warnings with a lot of online information. What that is essentially saying is that intelligent enough to deduce how you should respond to data. Now, if you're anything like me, you're emotional, and you might sometimes overreact or underreact or not spot stuff. But what I want is transparency and clarity and openness, and to be treated like an autonomous adult. Not, oh, you won't be able to handle that information, we better redact that. Yeah, you can have that bit of information. We are governed as if we are idiots. Meanwhile, Bill Gates has voiced his opinions on COVID-19 and future pandemics in a new interview. Speaking to CNBC at Germany's annual Munich Security Conference, he said that he believes the world will see another pandemic. In terms of whether it's possible to prevent another pandemic altogether, Gates told CNBC's Hadley Gamble, if every country did what Australia did, then you wouldn't be calling it a pandemic. No, you'd be calling it a prison. Let's see what Bill Gates has got to say now, the crazy old genius.
Where would you assess where we are today in beating COVID-19?
Don't touch your nose. We've all seen those videos.
You know, sadly, the virus itself, particularly the variant called Omicron, is a type of vaccine. That is, it creates both B-cell and T-cell immunity. And it's done a better job of getting out to the world population than we have with vaccines.
Why is that sad? Nature's doing its own vaccines. Well, the problem is if nature does a vaccine, we can't charge you for it. Also, isn't the reason that African nations didn't have access to the vaccine is because of the refusal to waive patents that you endorsed, by the way?
Well, I think the mainstream media did a reasonably good job.
What about the CDC? Did they do a good job by not publishing the information, by controlling the information, by giving us little pipsqueak tidbits bit of information? You can handle that bit of information. You wouldn't understand it. You're too stupid.
The scale of the misinformation, once you move past the mainstream media, is so wild you almost have to laugh about it.
I don't laugh, though. I just don't fund it.
Are we going to see another pandemic before we are able to beat this one?
Well, we'll have another pandemic.
What time is it? There should be another pandemic.
Do you believe it's possible to prevent the next pandemic?
Say again?
Is it possible to prevent the next pandemic?
Yes, if every country does what Australia did.
All you gotta do to avoid pandemics, the information of which seems to be controlled and changes considerably, even in the mainstream media, and some would say especially in the mainstream media, where there's been different times where you couldn't talk about the Wuhan lab leak, different times where you couldn't talk about vaccine efficacy, different times where you couldn't talk about the spread, natural immunity. All you gotta do is be in prison for the rest of your life. Is that too much to ask?
Then you wouldn't be calling it a pandemic. That's all.
So what's being suggested there is that we all follow the pretty severe methods that Australia followed. Let's have a look at this. A new study by researchers at Johns Hopkins University reveals lockdowns have little to no effect on COVID-19 mortality. Well, what effect do they have on mental health, other anatomical conditions, the impact it's had on addiction, waiting for operations? I mean, you know, the list just goes on and on. Researchers did find that lockdown orders caused enormous economic and social costs wherever they were implemented. Now, a lot of people have been saying that from the beginning of this pandemic, and there was a time where that couldn't even be openly discussed and was censored. You know, even if you're as economically privileged as someone like me, you don't suffer in the same way most people do. For them, everyone being locked down Australia style, or everyone dealing with draconian new measures and freezing bank accounts, that doesn't affect someone like Bill Gates. It doesn't affect that class of people. It seems to me sometimes that what's being created is a reality that will advance the interests of the most powerful people in the world, affect the majority of ordinary people. Measures such as lockdowns, controls, mandated procedures, all of this, they float above. Perhaps it's always been like this. It seems that what's being ushered in is a highly stratified society where ordinary people are over-regulated and have less and less access to control through democratic means, and have their reality prescribed to them by agencies like the Bill Gates Foundation, the WEF. It's becoming pretty clear that governments do respond to the edicts and ideas and axioms emerging from those organisations. And the only thing that can prevent it is freedom. Your freedom, my freedom, our ability to organise our communities and our amenities according to our will. And people might get it wrong and mistakes might get made and we might disagree with each other, but in order to prevent these kind of minor cultural differences flaring up, we're handing over control on a global scale to a group of people that won't be affected by the regulations that they're ensuring are being introduced. How many times have you seen parties of ultra-rich people not wearing masks while everyone else around them is expected to? You've seen that, right? You've already seen that stuff unfold. So what I'm proposing is a reality that reflects our values, that reflects our differing values. You probably see 1,000 issues in 1,000 different ways from me, but we've got to be allowed to disagree. The alternative is the kind of tyranny that's being ushered in under the auspices of safety. Safe from life, safe from freedom. But that's just what I think. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Your part of the conversation is absolutely vital. You're educating us all the time with the stuff you said. It's absolutely vital. Give us a thumbs up. Subscribe if you like this video. Have a look at this one or this one. Come and see me live. I'm all over the place. Newcastle, Hull, Scarborough, Glasgow, Plymouth, Bristol. Come and see me live. There's a link in the description if you want to come see me. And if you want to join my mailing list, you can do that too. Stay free.
Never been accused of being flashy, fancy, or cool. I mean, seriously, we named ourselves Booking.com. It's kind of our thing. Helping you book that perfect stay. Booking.com. Booking.yeah.
Frequently meant, as it was catering to their interest, that it was preventing small businesses from rising up that would threaten its constituents. Now, the Democrats took up this model. They went into influence peddling as well during the Clinton administration, and they became the party of other businesses. So now you have two parties that are basically dealing with competing business interests, vying for power. But what that does is it excludes the interests of regular folks. And so regular folks have been getting the shaft ever since. Nobody is representing their interests. They're getting wise to it. And they're feeling the effects on the street. They are feeling the system is rigged. It's rigged against them. It's not even evenly rigged against them. So, you know, in black communities, there's the perception it's specifically rigged against us. And you know what? It is. But the way it is very subtle, right? It's not a matter of racism being ubiquitous, you know, inside every white head. It's not like that. This has very little to do with modern racism. But what it has to do with is a property of our system. You know, there's a cybernetic principle. The purpose of a system is what it does. Means that don't listen to what somebody says that the system is for. Look at what it accomplishes. That's what it's for. And our system basically has two things that it accomplishes. It basically keeps real change from happening. And the reason it keeps real change from happening is because people who are winning in the present system will continue to win if the system continues to do what it does, and they may lose if the system changes and starts doing something else. So it creates what I would argue is a kind of organic conservatism. Those with power don't want change because it threatens them. And the other thing that our system does is it reproduces present patterns of distribution into the future. And what that means is racism that has almost died out is still alive and well in a sense, because all you have to do is take people who are born into a neighborhood that is devoid of opportunity and continue that pattern. If no opportunity shows up, then people who were oppressed are now going to continue to be oppressed. And so it feels personal, but it isn't. It's just reproducing an existing pattern.
And a lot of that emanates from these communities that have been disenfranchised and economically distraught from slavery. Like literally from that, where we're dealing with the echoes of slavery, and it doesn't get addressed. And when people do bring it up and they start talking about reparations, people roll their eyes and people go, oh, that was so long ago. But the results of that are still alive today in the South. They're still alive today in many communities that were redlined as recently as the 1960s, right?
That's exactly right. And so we basically have set ourselves up for a confused response, because there's a subtlety. The fact that ancient racism, people who are dead, their racism still haunts us today through mechanisms of the reproduction of patterns of distribution. And mind you, when people hear distribution, they freak out because they think you're talking about wealth. I'm not talking about wealth, and we can talk about why I wouldn't bother. But what we're talking about is opportunity. Opportunity has been hoarded. It has been concentrated in some zip codes and almost totally excluded from other zip codes. And so you're right. The patterns of slavery moved into Jim Crow, and now they've moved into a phase where they are very subtly infused into our system. And so it is causing people to have the sense that there is an enemy and it is out to get me, when it's not exactly an enemy that's out to get you. It's a pattern, right? It's a pattern that definitely needs to be addressed. And so the natural place would have been the Democratic Party. But the Democratic Party, because it has taken up with big business, is not going to do it, even though it would be a winning political strategy. The Democratic Party is more interested in serving the economic interests of its actual constituents than it is serving the interests of its nominal constituents. And so why are you seeing something that looks like a communist revolution beginning in the streets? For the natural reason, which is that people are feeling excluded from their share, and they are being excluded. But this revolution that is beginning in our streets is no more coherent or desirable than Maoism, and it's going to be brutal in the Maoist way, or possibly the way that it unfolded in the French Revolution, or maybe it'll be some unique version and it'll get its own name. But if we want the Republic to survive, we're going to have to prevent this from happening. And because it's a leaderless movement, who do you even talk to? Who do you reason with?
Yeah, that's what's fascinating about it, right? Because it's emerging not just in America, but it's also in England. It's in all parts of the world. People are protesting, and in many ways, I think it's probably because, love it or hate it, America sort of takes the cultural lead for the world in a lot of ways when it comes to movements, and particularly art and expression. And I see this leaderless movement, and it seems so attractive to young people that do feel disenfranchised by the system. So I watch them. I mean, I've seen so many videos of these people out there screaming and cheering and chanting, and they feel like they're a part of something, right? And they are, right? But what is that thing that they're a part of? Like, what's the end goal? That doesn't seem to have been really clear. Still, like, there's kids out in they were out in Woodland Hills out there chanting "No justice, no peace," and I'm like, okay, what justice are you talking about? Are you talking about George Floyd? Well, that in that case, it seems like that guy's going to go to jail for the rest of his life, and I don't know if that's justice or not. That police department has been disbanded. I don't know if that's justice or not. But what is justice and what is peace? It's just a slogan, but they feel good saying it. No justice, no peace. But I don't know what you're saying, but you feel very passionate about what you're saying. And I think if you pulled one of those kids aside and said, what's your message? And what are you trying to do? I think a lot of them would have nothing to say. And that's very concerning to me. I'm very concerned about that because it seems like they're very enthusiastic and passionate about an invisible enemy, an enemy that they can't put on a scale. They can't tangibly describe it in a way that I understand it completely. It just seems like the structure of things they feel like is unjust.
It is unfortunately a zombified collective fighting a boogeyman that they have invented, which again doesn't mean that their frustration is not about something very real that does require a solution, but to the extent that these people have de-individuated and they've become a true mob and they are pushing policies that make no sense and endanger us all. I mean, there is no neighborhood in the U.S. that is going to be safer for the absence of the police, and it really doesn't even matter how corrupt the police are. The absence of the police is going to create a power vacuum, and we're going to get warlords, as we're already seeing in Miniature and Seattle, as we already saw at Evergreen.
Yeah.
So it's not a coherent proposal, but I have a concern that the reason that this is leaderless is that something that I think is unrelated. I really think it's unintentional.
Finally, our honeymoon.
It took a while, but at least we got a great deal on our hotel with Kayak.
I was afraid we wouldn't go with our divorce and... Great divorce, guys. Yeah.
Search hundreds of travel sites at once. Kayak. Search one and done.
Thought what you did with Rogan was so brave.
Yeah,
I thought it was so brave.
That was like the alley-oop.
Yeah, but you could get the most criticism, and I'll tell you this. I don't know if you've spoken.
Cancel me.
There we go. I don't know if you and Rogan spoke, but I was talking to him about it, and he said it made him tear up, man. Made him
I
tear
love
up.
that dude, man. And you know, Rogan's a guy that, for me, look, all right, we know what's going on.
Yeah.
You know, like that's why I said fuck the noise, because it's like, don't focus on what they want you to focus on. Focus on why they're doing what they're doing. Now, do you know how much manpower it takes for someone to go through every single episode of the JRE? They probably had a whole team on that shit. And just like find where he was saying the word, find where he was using the N-word, and just like, they would have had like 10 people on that shit.
Yeah.
And hours of fucking footage. And it's like, why now?
Mm-hmm.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
We love secret rooms in games. They're bizarre, they're usually filled with tons of in-jokes, and they're typically pretty hard to find. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and it's time for 10 ridiculous secret rooms in recent games, Part 2. Now, Part 2 applies as a Part 1, and if you're interested in the secret rooms in Mortal Kombat 11, RDR2, Bloodborne, Doom, Fallout 76, Dying Light, Hitman, Just Cause, Bloodstained, and Undertale, Part 1 is waiting for you after you get through this one, so go check that out. Starting off at number 10, it's Dying Light 2's Doom Secret Room, which is wild. This is a very recent game, not even a month old, and Dying Light 2 has a bizarre Easter egg. Like the first Dying Light had one, Super Mario Brothers World 1-1 Secret Room. But now that we have the sequel, we're finding stuff big and bizarre in similar veins. It's harder to get into this one though. You find it by going to the basement of the VNC tower, which you can access by taking the elevator and finding a door that is open for whatever reason. Now the door is locked until you actually beat the game, so that alone makes it a tougher secret room compared to the one of the first, which you find by just interacting with a green pipe on a roof. Now you open this door and you take the elevator to end up in this creepy demonic looking ritual room. There's 5 altars, and if you want to see the Easter egg, you gotta find 5 evil red dogs hidden around the city and place them at the altars. That is an ordeal unto itself, And the developers had a lot of fun hiding these things right on the edge of a bunch of like deadly chemical zones. If you get all of them and form the cables up like a pentagram, the secret's revealed. It's a Doom-themed challenge room where you go nuts with the only gun in the game. It's modeled after the E1M1 from the original Doom, and there's even that zigzag hallway everyone remembers, and many of the secrets are even exactly the same. I think that it's actually very similar to the Mario room in that it is very faithful to the original level. It's also interesting in Dying Light 1, they paid tribute to a classic level on consoles. Dying Light 2, classic level on PC. That's not even the only secret room in Dying Light 2, though. There's an entire hidden developer room as well that you can find by connecting cables while falling down the ledges of this tower you can fly into from the VNC building. I know that is a massive mouthful, but believe me, I just told you the shortest possible version of that. See our video about secrets in Dying Light 2 for the longer version, but the developer room is filled with a ton of in-jokes about Techland's previous games, posters, and even a thank you note to the player. It's just kind of a fun but difficult to get to area. It is certainly worth finding though. And number 9 is Pokemon Legends Arceus, the secret room there. Another very recent game with the secret room we weren't really supposed to find. Some curious players managed to find it. This is a dummied out room in the game that contains a lot of modern looking stuff with a beanbag chair, flat screen TV, and a Pikachu edition Nintendo Switch. It's probably supposed to be where the player starts off before being warped into the past, but for whatever reason, developers just seem to remove it, even though it's a fully detailed room. The fact it looks so finished suggests the room was removed late in development, but for whatever reason, we don't know. It's pretty rare to find a secret room we're not supposed to find, but this Arceus room has no standard entrances or exits, and the only way to access it is by using third-party tools to clip through the walls and find this place. So they definitely didn't want people to find it, is what I'm saying. And number 8 is Halo Infinite's Xbox room / giant sandwich. One of the best things about Halo Infinite is the developers snuck a little bit of that Bungie magic back into the game. There's a little more humor and a ton of weird, goofy Easter eggs to find. Most of them are kind of hidden in plain sight or out around the world, but 2 of them definitely count as secret rooms. The first we're going to talk about is this cave found over by the spire. You go inside, clear the first big arena room, then grapple up the top of this pillar in the center of the room. If you look from on top of this thing, you see a tiny little opening that's possible to grapple up into. That's where you find the giant sandwich. I mean, it's a giant sandwich. The next one is found in the northern part of the map, where these hex-like structures, like with the other secret room, if you look at a very specific spot, you can find a tiny crack in the ceiling you can grapple up into. Inside this one is kind of an Xbox gaming room, containing a TV with snacks all over the floor. These 2 rooms are basically perfect for this list. They're absolutely secret, and they are very ridiculous. And number 7 is Watch Dogs Legion. I almost totally forgot about this one, actually. There's a really cool secret room to find in the 3rd Watch Dogs game. This is one of those secret rooms where the solution sounds like it doesn't make any sense because the only way to actually get it is to follow the alternate reality game that's found completely outside of the game. So don't ask us why you have to do these random steps to unlock the place. You just do, and that's the best answer we can give. East of the Millennium Bridge, there's this hidden away a lot. There's a really cool secret room to find in the 3rd one. Structures. Like with the other secret room, if you look at a very specific spot, you can find a tiny crack in the ceiling you can grapple up into. Inside this one is kind of an Xbox gaming room, containing the OG Xbox and a TV with snacks all over the floor. These 2 rooms are basically perfect for this list. They're absolutely secret, and they are very ridiculous. And number 7 is Watch Dogs Legion. I almost totally forgot about this one, actually. There's a really cool secret room to find in the 3rd Watch Dogs game. This is one of those secret rooms where the solution sounds like it doesn't make any sense because the only way to actually get it is to follow the alternate reality game that's found completely outside of the game. So don't ask us why you have to do these random steps to unlock this place. You just do, and that's the best answer we can give. East of the Millennium Bridge, there's this hidden away locked door. Just finding it naturally is something few people do, but to open it, you have to do something really specific. It only opens at 2 a.m., meaning you have to interact with the door right at 2 a.m. or you will miss it out. It's not MGS5. You can't smoke a cigarette, quickly switch to whatever time you want. You just have to sit and wait if you miss it. Inside the place is the secret lair of Default, the hacker you fight in the original Watch Dogs. And if you explore the place, you can actually get his unique mask to wear. So this game actually has one of the best rewards for finding the secret room. The actual interior is uniquely decorated, but nothing totally crazy. Still pretty well buried, and this series doesn't really normally have stuff like this. And number 6 is Demon's Souls on PS5 Secret Door. The original version of the game had a fair share of secrets, but the remaster, Bluepoint, snuck in some new stuff. Probably the most infamous is the one we're talking about here. The new locked door you can find in the Boletaria Palace's 3rd area that's impossible to get to unless you collect 26 of a new item called ceramic coins. These coins can't be found in the regular game. Instead, they're hidden away in the new Fractured mode, which mirrors the world of the game and generally makes things a lot tougher. That is not the end of it. You also have to have either a pure white or pure black world tendency for the coins to even start showing up, which is a whole other thing to deal with because, man, there's a lot going on with world tendency in this game. Once you got 26 ceramic coins, you can trade them with Sparky the Crow. You get a rusted key, and that's what actually opens the door. So basically, very few people are getting in here. And inside, you get a set of Penetrator armor, so players can finally look like that guy if they want. It was a long required addition to the game, especially after Dark Souls made it so you can get the armor of many of the boss enemies as rewards. So honestly, it's a great addition. The actual requirements to unlock the door are ridiculous, but if you love Demon's Souls, it's probably worth the effort. And number 5 is Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order's Yoda Room. For such an IP-driven game, you'd think there wouldn't be much beside a lot of callbacks and references, because it's Star Wars. And yeah, those are there. But there's also a lot of plain weird stuff that the developers snuck in. Probably the weirdest is this oddball origami room that can only be found by going through the Temple of Eorim all the way up to when you roll the ball to the exit, but instead of leaving, you make a tricky jump down to a previously visited area. If you manage to grab the wall and slip through this narrow passage, you find a room containing a bunch of Star Wars papercraft things. They're either really low poly models or they're papercraft. I don't know exactly. The most prominent of these is these big Yodas. I don't know why these are here. Don't know exactly what to make of it. It's in a completely counterintuitive spot, and the rewards you get here are nothing except a bunch of silly looking Star Wars creatures. But it's still pretty great.
It's starting. If only they knew what was coming.
You helped pull me back from the darkness. You are always with me.
And number 4 is Death Stranding's Higgs' house. A little secret that's easy to miss in Death Stranding. It's actually possible to visit the hideout of Higgs, the gold-masked bad guy you spend a lot of the game contending with. The funny thing about this one is the place isn't all that hard to find, and actually has a series of missions associated with it, but you spend most of the game not even knowing the place is the home of Higgs. If you return here after beating the game, you can actually go inside and explore, and the place has wall-to-wall conspiracy boards and crazy messages, and there's like a memory chip that gives you a ton of information about what the guy's deal actually is. For players really invested in the story, it is a goldmine because Higgs is a relatively mysterious character for most of the game, and this is the only way to find out a lot about him. So this secret room is in a location that's not normally secret, and there's no reason to return to this place after the game ends, but there is an absurd contradictory explanation that could only be in a Hideo Kojima game. It's not exactly ridiculous inside, but some of these messages in the walls are a little off. And number 3 is the secret egg rooms in Deltarune. Like Undertale before it, Deltarune is a game filled with secrets and mysteries, and of course that means there's a secret room or two hidden in here. Even though the game isn't finished, there's a lot of find in the chapters that are currently available, including some mysterious eggs that can only be found in strange rooms that I really have no idea how anyone was supposed to find. Like this one in Chapter 2, where you go down a secret path and survive getting run over by an annoying dog, and then you end up in this dead-end room with a mysterious message on the wall saying there's a room in between. And if you interpreted that as go back and forth between this room and the other one until you randomly appear in a new room, good for you! Clearly this game was made for people with brains like yours. It wouldn't be so hard to figure out if it only took a few exits, but oh no, you gotta keep going way past the point where it feels like nothing's gonna happen. In this room between, you can find a strange tree and an invisible figure hiding behind it that you can talk to. They give you an egg, which may or may not have some significance. We don't know. Chapter 1 had a similar room with a different egg in it. The whole thing's pretty weird. At this point, we have no idea. This could be an elaborate troll for all we know. But it's intriguing, and it's definitely going to keep us around for the rest of Deltarune. And number 2 is Blasphemous. In the previous list, we mentioned Bloodstained and its secret arcade room. So for this one, let's talk about another relatively popular retro-inspired Metroidvania. Blasphemous is a pretty bizarre and grotesque game. Most of its secrets are a little more lore-related than anything else, but this secret room totally breaks the immersion of the game world and lets you play a Blasphemous arcade game. Compared to all the weird and nasty stuff you find in this game, a regular old arcade cabinet feels out of place, and that only adds to the ridiculousness of this secret. Just getting this thing is a huge challenge. You have to find this secret room in the desecrated cistern that's hidden in the already hard to get room that requires you to have a special item that makes your character unaffected by water. Getting that thing on its own is very obscure, so basically you have to find a secret, to find a secret, to find a secret. Go into the secret room, you'll find an arcade cabinet called Alcazar of Grief, a play on Castlevania games naming schemes like Symphony of the Night or Aria of Sorrow, blah blah blah. And if you insert some money, you play a lo-fi demake of the game, complete with a chiptune soundtrack. It's a great looking area with a lot of work put into it, and absolutely worth hunting down if you're a hardcore secret finder. And finally, at number 1, Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, the Dancing Zombies room. There's plenty of secret rooms out there that are ridiculous because of how hard to find they are, but few as ridiculous as this one just because of its straight up silliness. The first zombie map for Black Ops Cold War is called Die Machine. Every zombies map has an Easter egg, a big secret set of objectives the player can complete. They truly want to beat a map, but they usually hide a few extra secrets and side Easter eggs into these maps as well, and this has got to be one of the best. Get transported into this hidden room, you have to run around the big particle accelerator room, shoot out specific lights around the area. Trying to find these things in the heat of battle is next to impossible, so finding this thing pretty much requires a comprehensive guide if you want any chance of actually doing it. So if you manage to hit them all, then you're automatically transported to an alternate reality version of the room with disco lights and, of course, dancing zombies. The centerpiece of this whole ridiculous room are the dancing zombie